So, first of all, welcome to The View.
Welcome.
But secondly, it's kind of great to have you at such an important time for the country, because it seems like today's tech billionaires are shifting rightward and seem to have more power than even the VP, whose name I can't remember.
That's crazy.
Well, there's no club of these people. We're, kind of individual, and I'm very focused on global health, and hope the transition to this administration doesn't interrupt some incredible work that's been going on.
Well, they had some VIP seating at the inauguration, and we did notice you weren't there. What do you make of that visual?
They clearly wanted to fund the inauguration. They wanted it to be a great inauguration, just for the good of the country, no doubt.
I feel like a lot of the stuff that Bill Gates got going on, they're gonna shut some of that stuff down, tool some of it back. He's been getting a lot of power, been able to do a lot of things all across the world. With the food and all the different stuff they got going on that he don't think that people know about. But people know about the stuff that you got going on behind, which you're trying to tell us what is going on. And people like the Kennedy guy is definitely planning on shutting down a lot of stuff that he got going on.
Yeah, it's a lot of moving pieces.
Yeah.
Well, I feel we're calling you Bill, Mr. Gates. Shortly before President Trump took office, you had a 3-hour dinner with him, and that's more FaceTime than, as you say, you had with Joe Biden during his presidency. And by your account, you say that you were impressed with him. What are you able to share about issues you discussed? And since he's only been in office 2 weeks, but do you feel like what you discussed aligned with what you're seeing so far?
Well, my two priorities in talking to President Trump were the global health issues, particularly HIV and polio. The voters have a lot to be proud of. We've saved tens of millions of lives. The number of children who die at the turn of the century is over 10 million a year, now down below 5 million. And things like HIV medicines, malaria bed nets are responsible for that, and vaccines. So I was encouraging him to drive more innovation in those spaces. And we're still missing some vaccines, and I felt we had a very good conversation.
And that's what I was talking about. The Kennedy guy, I don't want to mess his name up. I know it's the Kennedy guy that's put over the food and health, and like he was mentioning vaccines, and we know the other Kennedy has a problem with the vaccines, the amount of vaccines that's being given out. Wanted everything to be looked over. So I think him and Bill Gates definitely gonna bump heads.
They're gonna bump heads at some point, but it's gonna have to be some type of happy medium.
Yeah, and he donated money to Kamala Harris campaign when she was running for president. He didn't donate to Donald Trump. So that's why I feel like a lot of stuff that he doing is going to get shut down, because you wasn't on this side to begin with. You just have a choice. The people you put your money behind lost. So now you had to come talk to Donald Trump, and a lot of people say kiss the ring almost.
Yeah, kiss the ring almost. Yeah.
And now we're where we at.
Well, and you, Mr. Gates, you also called Elon Musk's political influence abroad quote, insane, along with another word we can't repeat here. But what's your take on his political...
That's what people are saying about you. Your influence abroad that you're saying about Elon Musk is everything that everyone was saying about you, which is crazy.
access and influence here in America right now?
Well, Elon, his private sector work, has been very innovative, really fantastic. A lot of private sector people, when they get into government, they don't take the time necessarily to see what the good work is or why it's structured the way it is. So I'm a little worried, particularly with this USAID stuff. My foundation partners with USAID on nutrition and getting vaccines out. And, there's incredible people. They're not actually worms that work there. So, hopefully we'll get some of that work back in shape. In fact, if we don't, you could have literally millions of deaths. So, with AIDS...
It sounds like fear mongering.
Just a little bit.
It's not like you're fear mongering, because everything that you're talking about, if you did a little bit of research, you know he's standing to profit a lot of money off it.
Oh yeah,
So you
yeah,
want
yeah,
this
yeah.
stuff to go through because you want to profit the money that you thought that was coming down the line. They're slowing stuff back, looking at it differently. The U.S. aid or USAID that he's talking about, they already found corruption all without that organization.
Yeah,
And
but
then
you know, it's in his best interest to let you know what he's doing is the best option.
yeah, of course. It's like propaganda. That's why he came to the show to try to get people on his side, the people that didn't do their homework. I did my homework. I know exactly what Bill Gates got going on, and I think he need to be looked at, and everything need to be looked at. And that's why I'm glad Elon Musk and DOGE is looking through everything. The government officially, government spending. Do we really need this many vaccines and everything that's
Yeah,
going on?
yeah. Everybody has to be held accountable.
Yeah.
People think, wow, how much do we give to these countries? As you said, it's less than 1%. People think it's 5% and it should be 2%, but it's actually under 1%.
Wow, and still saving lives. Well, your Gates Foundation is the biggest funder of vaccines.
Lives might be saved, but there's also a lot of other stuff that's going on that you're not talking about,
Yeah.
that you think the voter don't know about. Like the voters are more informed now
Now
than
before.
ever. So we used to just take you at your word, what you said, and just take it in as the truth. But now we're looking at everything and we're like, are you really telling the truth? This is how you really feel, or you're just trying to get your profits and make sure you're good?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Vaccines in the world. I think a lot of people don't recognize that. And it was key to developing the COVID vaccine. That has made you, unfortunately, a target of all kinds of baseless conspiracies, including from RFK Jr., who apparently does have
That
a worm in
RFK
his
Jr.
brain. And he now
It's be stuff like that because he's coming at the stuff that Bill Gates doing. He gotta have a worm in his brain. It gotta be conspiracy theories. No, people just not taking what someone told them at face value.
face
no
value.
More. We're trying to do our research. We're looking into this stuff, and that's what's going on. It seems like anytime they throw the word conspiracy theory out there, it's just to throw you off track from listening to what these guys are saying. That used to work. That doesn't work, anymore. People are sitting down listening to people like R. Kennedy. A lot of stuff that you're saying makes sense. A lot of people can explain why we have so many vaccines, and even with the what they said with the COVID vaccine, there's been a lot of stuff that came out with people getting injured and all type of stuff happened from that. They applaud them from that, but a lot of people want to see
Yeah.
see like him brought up on stuff for the vaccine.
Yeah.
claims he is not anti-vax. Do you believe him?
Well, we'll do our best to work with him. Under his management is going to be the FDA, which is a fantastic regulator, passing judgment on a lot of the new innovations we're funding. NIH does fantastic research.
Yeah.
And so those have been partners of our foundation. And, I hope the great scientists there get the support they deserve.
And just to follow up, before COVID, you say you spent the most sleepless nights worrying about pandemics. After COVID, has that changed?
People feel like you was worrying about it and you was worrying about how can I make money off of this?
I can profit.
How can I profit? And since it happened, you've been profiting. And even before this stuff came out, you had stocks in these companies that put it out, and then you made a bunch of money off it, and you took it worldwide. So people are looking at you funny under the light now that people know exactly what
But
happened.
a lot of that's just because of position too, and foresight. Because foresight is why you put the money up. You kind of knew a little bit more than what you're saying.
Yeah.
You
know,
what I mean?
like,
and you were able to take advantage of such a situation.
I'm glad you're using words, take advantage of, because that's
Yeah.
what people feel like he did. He took advantage of.
Yeah.
And if it has, what keeps you up now? Because we all need to know.
Yeah, the pandemic sadly was fairly predictable, and it won't be the last pandemic. The next one could be far more severe. I mean, this one, it killed millions. It was awful. We got the vaccine. Actually, President Trump's leadership was a factor in getting that out quickly, and so I and when I spoke to him, I said, okay, here's some other medical innovations, including a thing called an HIV cure that could be accelerated. So, we should be more prepared, both for a pandemic. I'd say that's still number one. You can worry about nuclear war. You can worry about AI.
This
There's
sounds like fun.
plenty to worry about. But
Do you
overall,
sleep
I'm
at
an
all?
This seemed like a bunch of fear mongering at its best.
Yeah, fear mongering. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot to process, and I mean, it's just crazy to think that we live in a world where you gotta be fearful of the broccoli now.
Yeah. Gotta be fair for everything these days. It almost seemed like.
Yeah,
Not the broccoli, though.
the broccoli.
No, I mean, it's up to the government to think ahead on behalf of the citizens.
Yes.
So, pandemic, there's a lot that we should be doing that hopefully we'll get our act together before the next one comes. Overall, the innovation in health, both in the developing countries, the rich world, I love being part of that.
I was reading though that you said the
Sure you
next
do.
pandemic you are predicting.
Sure you do.
Maybe 25 years. Is
Oh,
that
certainly
accurate?
we'll have one
Not before.
in the next 25 years. There's even some pathogens out there that we're watching over right now. So maybe 10% chance in the next 4 years.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about AI, which you mentioned. Last week, Silicon Valley and stocks were rocked by news that China's AI model may outperform.
How do you segue right there?
What you mean?
How do you segue right there? He sounded like he was about to let something out the bag. Yeah. He was like, in the next 10 years, you know what I mean? It's probably.
I know something else is.
Well, right now we're talking about AI.
And I'm pretty sure whatever is going to go on here, where you got stocks in those companies.
He's already invested. So it's not like at the moment when things are going down, I'm going to double down on everybody dying. Like, no, you got to do it ahead.
Yeah.
So you just so happen that your pocket got inflated.
You just happen to be so lucky.
Yeah.
Silicon Valley and stocks were rocked by news that China's AI model may outperform ours at a fraction of the cost and quicker to develop it.
It's not may outperform. It already outperformed in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
With ChatGPT, DeepSeek is either level with it or better than it. There's nothing that ChatGPT do better than DeepSeek.
Yeah,
and
that's it.
And they spend hundreds of billions on to make that stuff when DeepSeek only spent $6 million and got a better product.
Sound like they won.
Yeah.
You've been in the book, you're very optimistic about AI. Are you still optimistic, and is the U.S. falling behind China in the AI race?
Well, the U.S. has done amazing work. Both people born here and people who come here mean that we have more AI companies than even China has. But we should never underestimate great.
It's not about quality. It's not about quantity.
It's about
quality. And they're definitely putting out the quality right now.
That's it.
Companies than even China has. But we should never underestimate great innovation in China. In many of the areas of science or getting product costs down, they do great work. They're 20% of the world's population. So the fact that this turn of the crank, they got ahead, that's not totally surprising. The U.S. companies will, including OpenAI, will catch up and move ahead. The pace of advance is pretty fantastic. And in many ways, that's going to help us in education and health delivery. A lot of good things that can come out of this that aren't zero sum, that, having all countries have access, including poor countries, I think is very exciting.
I have to ask you this because of my obsession with social media and where it's going. We noticed you haven't tweeted in a while, but this past weekend you joined TikTok, Bill Gates. Why did you join the platform? Where do you come down on the impact of social media more broadly, especially with Meta banning fact checking?
Do you do dance numbers on TikTok? Or?
Whatever it takes to sell books.
Meta banning fact checking.
Yeah, that's dangerous.
Was they really fact checking? Who was fact checking the fact checkers? What everybody wanted to know.
Well, everybody has to be fact checked at some point.
Yeah, but the people that say this is a fact on
It's a
Meta,
stamp.
who checks them to make sure it actually is or fact or not a fact?
Yeah, it's a good question.
Until our next video, it's your boy Tremaine Jones.
And it's your boy Lamar Wilson.
We out.